We welcome you back to Longhorn Weekly with head coach Shaka Smart. We've got a special guest alongside, and special to watch him play on the floor. But, Shaka, I know you've been very close to this guy for a long time.
Yeah, it's Matt Coleman. Excited to have you here on the show.
Thank you.
Craig and I decided before you got here, we're going to ask you the hardest questions of any guest that we've had all year.
All right.
Probably because you could handle it, right?
Yeah.
whatever those questions are. We'll let Coach deal with some of those. First of all, we were talking about momentum and how you carry it forward from a big win like you had over Kansas. First of all, take everybody through what the feeling was like for you guys coming off the disappointment of the game against Georgia and to navigate through it and to push forward to do what you had to do. You had your players-only meeting and then come through and fight hard to get the win over Kansas.
Like before the game, we basically just talked about, letting some things off our chest, how we felt individually about the team, and going forth like what we wanted. Because, each game, we say like we can be so good, we could be this, we could be that. But Dylan made a point. He said before every game when he goes in and puts in his tickets, he sees that list shrinking and getting smaller. Him being a senior, he's just like, the time is now. He was like, I don't want to waste no more time. Like, we have all the ability, all the pieces to be, the Texas basketball team that we know we can be.
How valuable is it to have those kinds of really keeping it real conversations with your teammates? You can hear it, obviously, from Coach Smart, and you can hear it from Coach Lucas, and you can hear it from the rest of the staff. But for your guys, your inner circle, to do it, how important is that for you guys to be able to having the airing of grievances and to discuss the things you have to discuss?
Coach Smart always says, that the players we're gonna get tired of hearing it come from him, and we're more impactful to each other than he is impactful for us. Although he is our head coach, but we're gonna listen to our teammates because that's the guys we're on the floor with. That's the guys we're with every day, 24/7. So that's very impactful, just being real and coming from one another. And it just shows that, how much meaningful and how much you care about one another.
Do you get tired of hearing it from him?
Sometimes.
that falls into the tough question category.
Well, I get tired of you being in foul trouble.
That's true.
I think, Craig, there's obviously there's worse things that players could be than compliant. But I do think that there's a ceiling on how good you can be as a basketball, any type of team, if that's the best you can be is compliant. And to me, when guys are able to come together, whether it's on our team or on any team, and these millennials are really resistant to this, but when they're willing to come together and understand that they do have certain commonalities and they all want the same thing, that's what bridges the gap from compliance to true commitment, and then allows you to go do something special as a team.
And those are the kinds of things I know he says to you guys a lot. And sometimes, does it take a little bit of time and practice over time for it to sink in the way that you think he wants it to sink in for you?
It resonates, and then it's always you want it to be like authentic to yourself. You don't want it to do it just because coach said you do it or do it the way that he wants you to do it. You got to find a way that is capable for you and that the team can relate to. And then after a while, you just get tired of hearing him say it over and over again, and you just do it. You just find a way.
By the way, do you get tired of him talk about millennials and referred to in that category?
I don't usually say that.
He doesn't use that much. That was the first time.
Shaka, how different is it to recruit a coach's kid? Because Matt obviously is a coach's kid. Or if not difficult, different.
I feel like I'm an exception.
Yeah, Matt is very cerebral, and part of that is because he comes from a basketball family. Mm-hmm. And not just his dad, but his mom is, knowledgeable about the game, and just because she's been around it a lot. And he has a younger brother that's a good player. So I think more importantly than necessarily just being a coach's son, but being someone that has a passion and comes from a family that has a passion for the game. And that's one of the things that, we are trying to encourage Matt to take the next step with, is bringing that passion out. When he's at his best, he is emoting. You know, he is demonstrating how much he cares, how much he wants to fight. When he's not at his best, he's more flatline, more monotone, and you know, it's the same thing with Mo last year. We talked about that quite a bit with him. So it's not about position, and it's not about level. Mo's dealing with it now at the next level, and I bring him up because those guys were very, very close friends.
Right, and I would imagine you probably had your dad say that to you quite a bit about wanting to get more emotion out of you on the floor. Is that correct?
You know, in his terminology, I always say you just need to play with a more bounce in your step. That's what we used growing up. Is to play with more bounce in your step. You know, more you know, joy, and then like just hearing it from like my mom. And he was like, I don't, you know, the games you don't smile, you know, you struggle. So just make sure you just smiling and showing that joy.
Coach said she knows a lot about basketball. Do you talk a lot of basketball with your mom?
Mom is more the realist. She keeps it real. You know, it doesn't have to be about basketball. It's just she'll go all out and just let me have it. And Dad would be like the, you know, take your time. You know, it'd be the comforting portion.
So you find that it's a great balance between those two parents of his to have one talking more of the basketball and one in more of the cerebral mental side of it?
They're great parents. I mean, they've done a great job with Matt and his younger brother Chase. They are hard on him, which is good. We'd rather have parents that are, as Matt would say, willing to keep it real than enabling their son. But at the same time, just like I am with my daughter, there is sometimes biases. Yeah. I think that's every parent. But the good thing about it is, you know, Matt's mom and his dad, they want the same things that we want for Matt and for the team, and that's a great place to start.
Yeah, I would imagine, Matt, because you feel you have to do things for the team first and foremost, and for yourself, and for your family too, kind of in that order, I guess, the way it works.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is just not to think about all the extremities and just think about, you know, the guys around me and whatever I can do to help my team win, and then everything else will fall in place.
I've heard you say that sometimes when we don't allow the fun to come in the game, that's when we're in trouble. We've got to be able to enjoy ourselves a little bit, not put the weight of the world on our shoulders.
Yeah, you know, you don't want to, you know, like we said, like this is basketball. This is what we love to do. This is what we came to college to do. So there's no reason for you should feel like it's a dread or like it's a drag or, you know, anything other than like this is what I love to do and this is why I play the game of basketball.
That's actually it's one of the, you know, interesting conundrums for us as coaches because here's the setup here at this level. Most guys that come in here, they're used to being around and playing with some guys like a Trae Young, who was a contemporary of Matt's in high school and AAU, that are going to be in college for a cup of coffee and then go. And so that gets set up as the quote-unquote ideal. That would be the best thing to do. So in a way, it's, you know, I want to be there as short a time as possible. The flip side of that is, man, this is the best time of your life and the best experience of your life from a team standpoint, from how well that you're looked out for, you know, all around with the 360-degree coverage that we have around these guys. And also from the standpoint of fun, you know, enjoying it. You know, they may feel like practice can be challenging and they may feel like certain drills could be monotonous, but I can promise you every guy that I've ever coached that's gone on to play professional basketball at whatever, in whatever country and whatever level, they all look back at college with that nostalgia of, you know, how fun it was.
All right, coming up, we're going to have some more here with Matt Coleman to talk about this particular Longhorn team and the challenges of the season. We'll continue with Longhorn Weekly with head coach Shaka Smart from Pluckers, the West Campus location, when we continue in a moment. Coach to the right side with it. Still on the dribble. Now to Peppers. He'll try another three. Good! Chase Peppers, his third three. Bill Self calls another timeout. The Longhorns are up 9 at the right side. Trying to work his way around. Garrett getting bumped. No call in the corner. Peppers a three. Good! Oh my goodness! That's a dagger! And Texas is up 7 with 90 seconds to play. We welcome you back to Longhorn Weekly with head coach Shaka Smart. Our special guest during this portion of the program is the Longhorn sophomore point guard Matt Coleman. That other sophomore guard did pretty well too there. Jace Pebbers hit the 2 3-pointers. What's going through your mind there? It's a minute and a half to go in the game, and you guys are just bringing it into the front court, and there he is wide open in the corner. And most teams are thinking, yeah, you run clock, you take some of the air out of the ball, and he drains the three.
It's like a reoccurring event for Jace. Start out in the first half really slow, not knocking down shots, and then the second half it just like a fire lit up under him, and he knocks it down. And I have no problem with him taking those shots because I know he can make them, and that's what he's done and shown. And
that's one thing that Coach Smart has talked about as well. He said that where he has said to him, "We believe in you. We want you to not get so down on yourself because he could do." I mean, as a teammate, do you kind of work with him to make sure he's not getting down on himself if he doesn't make his first shot or two?
I try my best to stay in his ear during timeouts and say, just take your time. It's going to fall. A big one's coming, just each media timeout, each timeout that we have, I just try to stay in his ear. If it's not myself, it's Courtney, it's Elijah, it's Andrew, one of us, just staying in his ear and just saying that shot's coming, and and it does, and he knocks it down. Sounds
like there's a lot of reinforcement that goes on amongst the team, but not only in the team meeting, but during the game itself. And would that be crucial now, coming off a big win, carrying the momentum forward, having that kind of connected feeling and the communication and the support that you would have, say, coming off a disappointing loss like last Saturday at Georgia?
It's very crucial because we don't want to, like last year we won, lost. We want to continue to win and build off what worked. I think it's big that we can talk and have little chatter on the bench about certain things that we see that's going on, and I think that this is the perfect time for us to just build on that and grow and keep going from. There's no reason to take step back now.
Coach made a joke about the deal about the foul difficulty, but I know to you it doesn't become a laughing matter because you want to stay out of the foul difficulty. How difficult is it if you pick up a couple of quick ones to try to make sure it doesn't mushroom without stunting your game, what you have to do on the floor to continue to play the way you know that you're capable?
It's very challenging because defensively I want to be an aggressor. Mm-hmm. So when you get that quick first foul, you kind of hesitate and you kind of your pressure descends. I'm sorry, your pressure descends, and you can't do that because if I descend, then as a whole, our defense made this in. So you have to mix in, aggressiveness with, intelligence at the same time.
Well, and I would imagine since you see the teams in the Big 12 twice per year, you probably know which opposing guards you can be even more aggressive against and which ones you have to be a little more guarded against because there might be the tendency to reach a little more or to not be able to get out of the way in time and get called for a block, something like that. It also depends on the guy you're matching up with and the team you're matching up with?
The biggest thing is just knowing your personnel, knowing the scouting report, who's the guy, across from you that night.
Toward that end, I'm always fascinated by this. You were at one of the hallmark high school programs in the country, Oak Hill Academy in Mouth of Wilson, Virginia. And if you've never been to Mouth of Wilson, Virginia, by the way, it's a beautiful place, but you got to be going there to get there. It's not close to much of anything.
Middle of nowhere.
And by the way, when you arrived there the first time when you went there, and of course you grew up in Virginia. You were in Norfolk, but you're going from the beach all the way.
I didn't even know that
was
Virginia. I thought I was West Virginia somewhere in the boondocks or somewhere.
What did you think when you first arrived on campus there?
I was like, this is gonna be tough. Away from home, my first time. I was a junior. Away from my family. No phone service. Just a different. It was just different. It was different for me. But I felt like I adjusted well, and it only helped me in my future.
And you were around some really good basketball players at your age, and I imagine that helps as well.
Yeah, that really did help. Really competitive.
One of those guys you just saw the other night, David McCormick, because he was a year behind you, right?
Oh, I played with him my senior year.
Yeah, senior. Okay. And then the other you're going to see on Saturday that you know pretty well, Lindell Wigginton. Yeah. So you guys were teammates there. What is that like to go into a game at the college level with a guy that you were close to and you were a high school teammate, and he's on the other side. And you guys did it last year, obviously, as freshmen, so this is the second go-around for you.
It's like friendly competition. Me and Lindell are really, really good friends off the court, but like with our competitive level, like when we play each other, it's through the roof. I want to win, he wants to win. I want to dominate, he wants to dominate. So we just go and have fun, kick it, but at the same time we want to beat each other. So
what do you like about his game?
very aggressive. He's a very aggressive scorer. Scored at all three levels, and I think that he does that really well. And he's really improving his playmaking ability. And I respect him as a player.
I know you have a lot of respect for Iowa State as well. You look forward. This will be the first meeting of the season between the two. How much do you look forward to going up against guys like that play as well as they do?
I'm looking forward to getting on the road and playing in front of the what they call Hilton Magic. I think last year we played them. It was during Christmas break, so I didn't get the full drift of the Hilton Magic, what they call it. But I'm really excited to just go down there and just play an Iowa State team that's really well, top 25 team, and just want to compete
All right.
for a win.
Appreciate you driving by. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
All right, Matt Coleman joining us here. Coming up, Shaka Smart rejoins us. We'll take a closer look at the Iowa State Cyclones when Longhorn Weekly continues here on the Longhorn Network and the Longhorn IMG Radio Network.